Burnout is a common autistic experience that sometimes feels like it's going to last forever. Even simple things like brushing your teeth or trying to keep yourself fed can feel impossible. And if you're like me, trying to make decisions about basically anything feels instantly overwhelming. So, in this video today, I'm going to be sharing strategies to move efficiently and gently through burnout so that you can finally wake up feeling motivated and energized. The first strategy I want to share with you today might sound oversimplified, but it is the most important, and that is acceptance. You may have heard a phrase before that says, "What we resist persists." So it's like if I tell you, don't think about pink elephants, you're probably thinking about pink elephants. If we're thinking, "Oh, I want so badly to get out of burnout. I hate this. I hate this. Why is this here? Why is this happening?" And we push and we push and we push, that feeling of burnout grows stronger and stronger. So the first and most important thing is accepting I'm in burnout. When we have this acceptance, we're not giving in, we're not resigning to defeat or anything. We're just accepting our current present circumstances. Yes, I'm in burnout. So we have to label the problem before we can start solving it. Even something as simple as just acknowledging it out loud or in writing can be really effective. And then sitting with that, taking a moment and, reading what you just wrote about being in burnout or sharing it with a friend and actually processing, "Oh yeah, I'm in burnout." Because how many of you find yourself in burnout, keep moving through burnout, but then never really process that you're in it until you have a big meltdown or something, right? So as soon as you know you're in burnout, as soon as you can recognize that, take the time to accept it. Then we can move forward. From there, we need to prioritize rest. I know I'm a single mom. This can sound impossible. How do I rest? There are not enough hours in the day. But shifting our mindset to creating more space to do nothing whenever possible. One concept that has really helped me a lot is the idea of ending my day with spoons left. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with spoon theory, I have another video on that I can put a link to up here. So, spoon theory, in short, is just kind of a way for us to communicate how much energy we have available to use that day. And I kind of have always operated under this notion that I need to use all of the energy that I have every day and do the best, work to the best of my ability, accomplish as much as I can because that's the best use of my time. And that's what I'm on this earth to do, be productive, get stuff done. But especially when I'm in burnout, it's so important to end the day with some energy left for myself, even if that's just energy to sit on the couch and not have my mind spinning and going 1,000 different directions, even if it's just energy to be quiet on my porch swing on the back patio. It's so important not to totally deplete yourself every day. And learning how to undo this pattern can be really, really difficult if you're used to just going and going and going until you feel like you're running on fumes. If you feel like that's the mark of a productive day, it's going to be time consuming to change that pattern, but it is not impossible. It's actually very important. And we've got to rewire our behaviors. We've got to rewire our thought patterns to prioritize things that are healthier, like ending the day with some energy left. And if you can end the day with that energy or those extra spoons, it makes the next day easier. So we all know what it feels like to wake up feeling totally depleted. It's like, oh my gosh, I am starting the day exhausted. How is it going to get any better, right? But when we end the previous day, getting in bed, not crashing and falling in bed with all of our clothes on because we were too tired to put pajamas on, but we actually get in bed with intention and it doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel strained. We get in bed. We prioritized our bedtime. Again, I know it's easier said than done. It's a totally different feeling waking up the next morning. So prioritizing rest is so important. You can do this in all kinds of little ways. I say a lot in my groups, like sometimes autistic people, we get an idea of how to define something. So rest is marketed to us as, cucumbers on the eyes and a face mask and our feet up and a robe. That's like one very small way to rest. And that might not even be restful for you. So there's all different ways. Like, is it playing a musical instrument? Is it watching your favorite TV show? Is it being out in the garden? What things add energy to your day? One thing that I want to share that adds energy to my day is comfortable sweats. And it also helps me rest when I feel comfy and cozy. I have some brand new sweats here that I want to show off. I did just get my hair done today, so I'm not going to put it on over my head. but I will post some pictures so you can see like the full thing. But these are my comfort sweats. They are weighted. They're weighted sweats, okay? What I mean by weighted, it's just like a thicker, heavier material than normal. And it feels so good. These are my sweatpants too. I brought these to Broken Bow. My family went to a cabin in the woods, and these are the perfect cabin in the woods sweats. There's cat hair on them. Don't judge me. I got a medium in both. I'm 5'6", and the medium pants are perfect. They have different colors. They have different styles, but I highly recommend them for neurodivergent people because they sit so comfortably on the body and provide this really calming weight. I will put a link in the description that you can use. If you click on it, it will give you 15% off so that you can get a pair of your own, or you could gift them to somebody. And if you're watching this when I post the video, we're really close to Christmas. So what better neurodivergent gift than a pair of weighted sweats? The third idea that I want to share with you is the concept of stepping into the river of life. Bear with me for a moment. So it's kind of in that same vein of what we resist persists. I almost don't want to say go with the flow because it's going to be upsetting to some of us. Okay, let's look at it a different way. So, how can you move with the current of your life? How can you work with the available resources you have? How can you allow your environment and your circumstances to support you? And I'm just going to leave it with that. It's kind of a mindset shift. Rather than everything's stacked against me, nothing's going my way, how can we start to make small shifts in our focus to notice the things in our life that actually are supporting us, that actually are working for us? What we focus on, we create more of. Think about that if you'd like. I don't want to trigger any demand avoidance. You may reflect on that if you choose to do so. What we focus on, we create more of. How can we work with what is currently available in our lives to feel supported? Sometimes it can even help to make a list. So you might write, ways I'm supported, or people who support me, or ways I feel taken care of, things in my house that I love. If anything like that sparks an interest, just go with it and see where it leads you. It's really important in these stages of burnout to remind ourselves that not everything is going poorly. Not everything. Sometimes it can feel like that, but there are assets, there are resources around us that we can utilize to help us through these tough times. The next strategy I want to share is focusing on activities that make the biggest difference. So for example, like I said, I'm a single mom. Chores stack up all the time, and I think, oh my gosh, how am I going to get all of this done? Okay, is it more important? What's going to make the biggest difference for my family? Is doing the laundry going to make the biggest difference, or putting new sheets on the bed? Okay, well, the kids need more clothes this week to wear to school because they're growing out of everything. So laundry is probably the most important, and we can go another day or 3, or let's be realistic, 5, without washing the sheets. Anyone else? Right? That's not like a make or break. We can either strip the sheets and sleep with a blanket on, or we can just wait a few days. So it can be helpful to think through the demands placed on you, what needs to be done, what's going to make the biggest difference in your life, and focus on that thing first. Also, if it's not urgent, it doesn't have to be done right this minute. I just write it down on a list and I walk away from it. It will be there on that list when I come back to it. It's difficult, but important. I can't do everything all the time. The next strategy on my list is to automate as much as possible. So one of the things I automated most recently is the cat feeder. So the cat food is automated, the cat water is automated. That's one less thing that I have to think about every day. Automating monthly bills is really helpful if you're not doing that already. Other things I've got on my list here: someone to mow the lawn, someone to clean the house. Stick with me, okay? I know you're saying, okay, stick with me. Food delivery, meal services, put schedule reminders in your phone. Anytime that I commit to something, y'all, this is like the camera is backwards. So anytime I swipe my hair, I have to like do it the opposite way that it looks in the camera. So anytime I say yes to something, I will immediately put it in my calendar and I will set an alert. That's the only way that I show up to things on time and remember to do the things that I commit to. Okay, but I know many of you have some pushback about this because you're thinking, how in the world do I pay for a house cleaner when I'm barely able to work? How in the world do I pay for someone to do my lawn? Okay, let's explore some options. So first of all, and you're not going to like my answer, I'm sorry, but I promise it's important and it has been really helpful in my life or I wouldn't share it. The first step is changing our mindset. Stick with me. I'm not like toxic positivity over here. I promise. Okay. Allowing your money to work for you, creating patterns in your life where you invest your money in ways that support your lifestyle. So think about kind of how you grew up and how money was used and what you use it for and why. How would you feel supported in your life, especially as it pertains to autistic challenges? So for me, as a single mom, making dinner every night is freaking hard. And like, why do we need to eat every single day? But we do, and it just keeps happening. And so for me, prioritizing in my budget food for meal delivery services, it really adds so much value to my life. It adds more time that I can spend working and making money. It adds more brain capacity so that I'm not thinking about, all day, like, what am I going to make? Do I need to go to the store? So it saves time, it saves money. And overall, I feel that it's an investment in my well being because sometimes it helps me to order dinner for my family. So when we start thinking about, okay, what are the challenges that I face in my life and how can I make my money work for me? Then start slow, start small. It doesn't have to be this huge overhaul of hiring a house cleaner. I know that can be really intense and that's out of reach for some of us. I totally understand and I have been there. I mean, for years, I just worked part-time so I could stay home with the kids and it was kind of like, hey, let's just do the best we can with what we have and we'll be grateful to make it to the end of another month. I've totally been there and extra purchases have not been possible other than what was just absolutely necessary. But slowly shifting your thinking towards, okay, if and when more money becomes available, or, I got an extra 20 bucks this week, wasn't expecting it, putting it in an account for blank. What can you invest in? What types of services, what types of support can you plan for in the future that would allow you to live a more comfortable life, especially pertaining to your autistic challenges? So that's kind of a topic for another video, but just kind of stew on that because a lot of us have gotten used to living without accommodations and without helpful services and supports because we're used to living without it. A lot of us might think, well, I've lived without it before, so why can't I just keep living without it? Like, I know how to just push through. Because over time, that wears you down and it depletes your spoons. It can cause health problems when we're overtaxed and overstressed, right? So slowly shifting our money mindset to investing in automated services and different supports that can actually free up more time and energy for us to do the things we love to do. And like I said, there is a trade-off. There has been a trade-off for me. Yes, it sometimes feels like more money when I pay for meal delivery services, but what is that adding to my life? It's adding time, it's adding energy that I have to actually invest in my business or to spend more time with my children. And those things pay off in other ways. So it's just a different perspective, a different approach to take. And when I say start small with this, it can be as simple as, hey, one day a week, we're going to order takeout. And that's going to be on Fridays. And then you have that to look forward to every week. Hey, on Fridays, I don't have to cook. And then you get used to having that little bit of extra time, that little bit of extra freedom. Another way to approach this is to trade services with neighbors or friends. So let's say you really need some quiet time and you need a little breather from your children. It happens to the best of us. Can you trade with your neighbor? Hey, I'll watch your kids on Thursday from 3 to 5 if you can watch mine on Monday from 3 to 5. And just knowing that you have that little break in your schedule for you, that can add a lot of value. It can add a lot of healing to your life to just create space for what you need. Now, if it's overwhelming for you to watch other people's children, I get that. I love my children, but I don't often volunteer to watch other people's children. You can trade other services. So I used to be a flute teacher. So I could say, hey, I'll teach your daughter flute lessons if you watch my kids once a week. You can be creative. What services do you have to offer that you could trade a friend or a neighbor to help you out? Now, in the same vein, I want to mention that it is not only okay to ask for help, it's necessary, it's good, it's beneficial. I know you don't want to hear that because I don't like hearing it either. I don't like asking for help. I don't feel that I'm very good at it. I would rather just be hyper independent and not have to depend on anyone. But life really opens up when you allow other people to show up for you. Now, I know some of us, many of us probably are rebuilding our support systems, maybe even after a late autism diagnosis that has kind of shifted our relationships. This can take time to have this support network where you can ask for help. So start small, put yourself out there, even though I know it's hard, take a little bit of a risk. It is kind of like working out a muscle. It gets stronger over time. It gets easier to lift the same amount of weight. It gets easier to ask for the same amount of help and then maybe a little bit more. You never know until you try. Be brave. You can do it. Another important thing to do when navigating burnout is to familiarize yourself with the signs of burnout versus depression. This is something I wish I knew early on. I really struggled with depression, especially in high school and college. But looking back, I think a lot of it was autistic burnout. And if I would have known, how to regulate myself through stimming, through rest, through more regulatory activities, um, I would have been able to move through those seasons with a lot more clarity and a lot less shame and guilt, a lot less confusion about why my body was reacting the way it was to certain circumstances. I have another video over burnout versus depression that I will link here. Both of these things are treated very differently, and I've noticed I also think about both of those experiences a lot differently in my head. So having the right label, depending on what I'm going through, really helps me navigate it. Another really important thing for navigating burnout is to make sure that you're prioritizing your regular healthcare checkups. So your yearly physical, your dentist appointments, your eye appointments, all of these things. I know that this can be demand avoidance. This can bring on so many stressors for autistic people to have these health appointments, but it really is important that we keep putting ourselves out there, keep pursuing proper healthcare, because this can eliminate other factors or help us identify other factors that might be standing in the way of us healing. At your yearly checkup, it's really important to get blood work done. And I know, especially for women, it can be really helpful to check your iron levels and your thyroid, because oftentimes we can find issues with those things, and managing those can significantly improve our burnout status. Here's the simplest thing on my list today, and that is staying hydrated. So whenever people come to me and say, "Hey, how do I get through burnout? I have nothing left. I don't even know how to put one foot in the front in front of the other." Blah. I don't even know how to put one foot in front of the other right now. And I think the simplest thing we can do is to stay hydrated. So what I aim to do, and again, I'm not a medical health professional, you should talk to your doctor before making changes. I aim to drink half of my body weight in ounces of water each day. And that's a really good way to make sure you're getting enough hydration. Water is one of the easiest ways to regulate our body. Most of us are dehydrated much of the time. So I keep, actually, it's right here. I literally didn't plan this. It's just here with me all the time. I have a water bottle in front of me. I actually really love this brand. I'm not in partnership with them, but it has like a little squishy rubber top, and it's really sensory friendly to me. And then it has a straw. And I find that to be easier to drink out of. So keep a water bottle beside you, stay hydrated. You can flavor it with some lemon or other fruit of choice, and that makes it kind of nice. But yeah, staying hydrated, drinking water, super important, especially during burnout. Staying hydrated can also help you sleep better. Just make sure that you are not drinking past a certain point in the evening. Because like for me, I can't have many liquids after like 8 p.m. or I'm going to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. So just keep that in mind, that you might want to have a cutoff time for fluids before bedtime. And then lastly, as we wrap up here, I want to say it is not selfish to prioritize rest. Kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier in the video, many of us have been taught that in order to have a productive day or to do what we're supposed to do, we need to give all of ourselves every day. This is just not a healthy concept. It is really important to prioritize rest, and you can actually show up more fully for yourself and for other people in your life when you rest. I have found that I'm actually more effective and more productive when I rest rather than push through things. I had this picture in my mind when I was thinking through this video. I was thinking of a carnival game, and I don't know if you've played a similar one, but I was thinking of something with water guns and like boats, and there's like a target, and you've got this water gun and you have to shoot the target to make the boat go straight, and whoever's boat gets to the finish line the fastest wins. And I feel like a lot of times I'm trying to play all 10 lanes, and I'm just running around like shooting the boat. I'm going to shoot this boat with a little water and then shoot this boat and this boat. I'm just trying to divide my energy between all of these different tasks in my life instead of just focusing on this, getting it done, focusing on this, getting it done. There are a lot of challenges associated with that, especially for autistic people, because of our differences with executive functioning. Prioritization can be difficult, and I'll put a link to another video on executive functioning and the autistic brain here. But the idea here is, okay, let's try not to accomplish everything. Let's focus on one thing. Let's rest, and then we'll have, rather than having like a little bit of energy to give all the time, we'll have a lot of energy to give sometimes. And there is so much more progress that can happen with that flow of energy. But it might feel uncomfortable at first if that's not your pattern. I know many of us are used to just frantically trying to get things done all the time because we are in burnout. Our nervous systems are dysregulated. One way to regulate our nervous system is to focus on less, to rest, and then to use that energy intentionally towards one thing or fewer things if you're like me and just cannot focus on only one thing, but I'm trying. And remember, it's not always going to be this way. There's definitely been seasons in my life I look back and I think, wow, I felt like this is what life was going to be like forever, and it's just not true. There's a time and a season for everything. Except where you're at right now. There might be some grieving there. Oh, I feel unsupported. I'm burnt out. I don't have what I need. I'm not making enough money. I'm not getting enough sleep. Okay, accept that that's the truth of where you're at right now. Be still, take deep breaths, check in with your body, sit with the pain, sit with the overwhelm, actually breathe through it and let yourself feel it. Feel the weight of what it feels like to be in burnout. I know that sounds scary, but the only way through it is through it. And if you're resisting it, you're not moving forward. Be with those emotions. Be with the weight. Be with the heaviness. Be kind to yourself as you process it. Notice any guilt that comes up, any shame that comes up from feeling like you should be doing more. Why? Where's that voice coming from? You're one person. You have limitations, not necessarily because you're autistic, but because you're a person, and we all have limitations. Autistic people navigate the world very differently. It's not helpful to compare ourselves to other people and how they do life. We do it differently, and that's okay. If you are looking for some extra support and validation, for a community that can be there with you in the tough times, I would love for you to check out my online community through Mom on the Spectrum. I have a 7-day free trial. I'll put a link for that in the description below. It would mean so much to me if you would give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful to you. I'd love to hear from you in the comments about your favorite burnout tips, especially anything I may have left out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.